Hi everyone, this is Kashif and welcome to my channel Literary Food with Kashif. What is the relationship between Marxism and literature? To put it in very simple words, literature is the product of socio-economic society. There isn't a single piece of literature which doesn't show the socio-economic condition in a society and its materialistic agenda. Therefore, based on the Marxist ideology, literature doesn't rest in vacuum and it is not timeless. Rather, it is the reflection of a particular capitalist society. However, a society which is reflected in a piece of literature doesn't show a straightforward Marxist ideology. And we know that Marxism is not a straightforward theory. It does comprise of the concept of religious ideology, the concept of haves and have-nots, and the commodity culture. Since I have discussed Karl Marx's concept of religion in my video Marxism Part 1st, my next video will be on the concept of commodity culture and Marxism Part 3. But in this video, I am going to discuss the concept of the haves and have-nots, having theoretical framework of it. To discuss it smoothly and with perfect references, let's move over to the slides. So to begin with, Karl Marx believes that any society is consisted of two types of classes, the haves and have-nots. The haves are wealthy, powerful, and privileged group. They are classy, hence higher social status, and are considered as naturally superior to those below them. Furthermore, they are considered more intelligent, responsible, and active, while the have-nots are poor, passive, and having substandard life. They are considered, according to the Marxist ideology, as lazy, shiftless, and irresponsible. In long part, the have-nots are blinded by the belief that the haves, the wealthy class, is financially successful simply because of the product of their initiative and hard work. Therefore, if some people are poor, it is because they are shiftless and lazy. The haves and have-not might be loosely divided into the 5 groups: underclass, lower class, middle class, upper class, and aristocracy. The members of underclass and lower class are the terrible victim of economic privation and have almost limited means to economically settle themselves. Some are homeless and others have super limited material possession. In sharp contrast, the members of the upper class and aristocratic are economically sound, having more material possession and are privileged in all aspects. But what about the middle class? Are they economically unstable? Are the privileged group? Of course, they are both financially oppressed and privileged. They are 2 steps up in economic ladder as compared to the classes under them. But they will never own mansion, bungalow, and luxurious class as the members of the classes higher to them. The most dominant ideology among the members of the haves and have-nots is that of classism. This ideology, which is a Marxist ideology, is based on the assumption that your material possession and economic condition define who you are, and this determine your social status. The more material possession and money you have, the higher your social status is. Hence, one having high social status is assumed to be intelligent, responsible, and having quality in the blood, while the one having low social status is assumed to be lazy and shiftless. Therefore, it is only right and natural that those from the highest social class should hold all the positions of the power and leadership because they are naturally suited to such roles and are the only who can be trusted to perform them properly. So, based on the ideology of classism, society is split into two classes, and only material and money can add value to your social status. However, Marxist critics have long been concerned to undermine such repressive ideology. Our goal is to use Marxist theory to help enrich our reading of literary works, to help us see some important ideas they illustrate that we might not have seen so clearly or so deeply without Marxist theory. And if we use Marxist theory the way it is intended to be used, to help us see the way in which ideology blinds us to our own participation in oppressive socio-political agenda. Marxism acknowledges that the dominant classes, the bourgeoisie, have used and manipulated the proletariat for themselves to get political and economic resources. But unfortunately, the proletariat are the last to recognize the fact. They are unleashed to be involved in some religious, ethnic, and gender differences in order to blind them to the material world and to their oppression. At this point, Karl Marx is hopeful to emphasize that one day the proletariat will rise up only if they act as one group regardless of their differences. But this is not so because they are involved in an unresolvable and unending social, political, and religious issues. The issues from which the dominant classes are completely ignorant of. Therefore, these problems divide them into different varying factions, which is a plus point for the dominant classes. In simple words, the dominant classes act on a slogan. Let them fight with each other on the basis of religion, politics, and culture, and let us collect the money. So, what is your job as a researcher is to highlight the writer attitudes in a literary piece of work, whether he or she has negative attitude toward the social stratification or positive attitude toward it.